There are places in the world where the morning sun rises with a certain softness, where the hills glow gold, where the air is fresh, and where silence carries the weight of memories. Southern Kaduna is one of those places. From a distance, it looks peaceful, gentle, almost untouched. But beneath the quiet, beneath the rolling farmlands and ancient rocks, lies a story the world has never fully heard. A story of identity, of land, of faith, of politics, and of people who have lived through cycles of tension for generations. Today, we journey into the heart of Southern Kaduna, not to relive pain, but to understand the roots, the reality, and the human story behind one of Nigeria's most misunderstood conflicts. Southern Kaduna is home to more than 30 ethnic groups, each with languages, traditions, and histories older than colonial borders. For centuries, communities farmed the rich soil, traded in the markets, and lived in tightly knit villages where everybody knew the stories of everybody else. Life was simple, not perfect, but peaceful. The region's diversity was its beauty, a patchwork of tribes. The Adiap, Baju, Ham, Kagoro, Jaba, Morowe, Ninzo Adara, each contributing to an ancient cultural mosaic rarely seen anywhere else in Nigeria. But this beautiful diversity also created delicate lines that would later be pushed, stretched, and in some moments shattered. When the British arrived in the late 1800s, they met a region full of small, autonomous chiefdoms, decentralized, democratic, self-governed. The colonial government wanted control, order, and simplicity, so they drew new boundaries. They merged ethnic groups that had nothing in common. They placed previously independent peoples under new administrative structures, and they empowered certain groups over others to make indirect rule easier. On paper, it looked efficient. In reality, it planted seeds of resentment that would grow long after independence. The lines were drawn not with cultural understanding, but with convenience. Generations later, the ghosts of these colonial decisions still walk the land. Southern Kaduna is fertile, one of the greenest parts of northern Nigeria. Families farm the same land their ancestors did. But as the population grew, farmland became smaller, villages expanded, and age-old grazing paths began to shrink. Disputes that were once settled by elders now escalated, fueled by poverty, climate stress, and political manipulation. Land, once abundant, slowly became a source of tension. Not because people suddenly became enemies, but because survival became harder. Southern Kaduna sits at a sensitive boundary point in Nigeria, a meeting place of communities with different faith traditions. But for decades, people coexisted. It wasn't until the late 1980s and early 1990s, a time of rising religious identity across many countries, that fault lines widened. What used to be simple disagreements sometimes took on religious tones. Misunderstandings deepened, suspicion increased, and politicians, eager for votes and influence, sometimes inflamed these divisions instead of soothing them. The result? A region that had once lived side by side found itself increasingly fragile. Southern Kaduna has long felt politically marginalized compared to Northern Kaduna. Different groups competed for representation, local government boundaries, and control over resources. Every election season became tense. Every appointment was scrutinized. Every policy became a symbol of inclusion or exclusion. Political actors took advantage of the divisions. Some promised protection. Some spread fear. Some used identity as a weapon because identity wins votes. But in the end, it was ordinary farmers, traders, and families who paid the highest price. Politics did not create the crisis, but it poured fuel on already smoldering coals. From the early 2000s onward, conflicts that once occurred every decade began happening more frequently. Some started with land disputes. Some began as community disagreements. Some were retaliation for earlier clashes. Others were sparked by misunderstandings or rumors that spiraled out of control. And in some cases, as experts say, criminal elements, armed groups, bandits, and opportunists took advantage of the tension to commit acts of violence for profit. But here is the truth the world rarely sees. Most people in Southern Kaduna, on all sides, are not fighting. Most want peace. Most are exhausted. Most just want to farm, raise families, and sleep without fear. Yet the conflict became a cycle. One attack led to another. Retaliation led to more retaliation. Rumors replaced facts. Fear became normal. Communities that once shared markets now built fences. Paths once used by children became empty. Villages that woke up to the sound of birdsong now woke up to uncertainty. This is the reality, not the headlines, not the rumors, not the politics, but the human reality. Behind every statistic is a life. A mother who fled her village overnight, carrying her child with nothing but a wrapper. A farmer who wakes every morning praying he will return home alive. A young man who lost classmates and cannot understand why. A grandmother who remembers a time when nobody locked their doors. A child who has never known what peace feels like. These are not just stories. They are the heartbeat of Southern Kaduna. And they remind us of something important. People are not the crisis. People are the victims of a crisis they did not create. There have been peace talks, community dialogues, security deployments, interfaith meetings, local peace committees, traditional rulers working behind the scenes, ordinary citizens stepping forward to rebuild trust. And despite the setbacks, progress has been made in some areas. Many Southern Kaduna communities now work together to prevent rumors from spreading. Some have formed joint peace patrols. Others share markets again. A few places have reopened abandoned paths and schools. The road to peace is slow, but it is not impossible. Southern Kaduna is not a war zone. It is not a headline. It is not a stereotype. It is a region of resilience, of farmers who rise before sunrise, of children who dream big, of cultures rich and ancient, of people who refuse to lose hope. What the world must understand is simple. Conflicts do not define Southern Kaduna. Its people do. People who want peace. People who want development. People who simply want to live. As the sun sets again over the hills, something soft happens. The wind becomes gentler. The farms glow gold. The villages grow quiet. And life, despite everything, continues. Southern Kaduna is wounded, but not broken. Shaken, but not defeated. And maybe, just maybe, if the world listens, if leaders act with fairness, if communities rebuild trust brick by brick, one day the land will heal, the people will heal, And the story of Southern Kaduna will no longer be a story of crisis, but a story of resilience, a story of hope, a story of a people who survived history and rose above it. This is NTruthHub, when truth matters. For more videos, like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.